Customer success teams often grapple with the challenge of transforming vast amounts of customer data into actionable insights. But how is data and AI revolutionizing customer success and empowering teams to enhance customer satisfaction and drive long-term loyalty? Let's find out. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Revenue Lounge podcast. I am your host, Randy Likas. And in today's episode, we have set out to uncover strategies to effectively leverage data, automate customer journeys, and identify growth opportunities, helping you elevate your customer success efforts to new heights in this data-driven era. Joining me today is Aditya Vasudevan. Aditya is the Vice President of Customer Success at Cohesity. As a leader in customer success, Aditya specializes in orchestrating transformative initiatives that elevate customer satisfaction and drive business growth. With a focus on innovation and alignment with sales strategies, he has reshaped customer success delivery models for Cohesity. Hello, how are you today?
Very good, Randy. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I'm real excited for the conversation. I generally like to kick things off and just get to know you a little bit. Maybe you could start by telling us a little bit about your background and how you got to your current role at Cohesity.
Well, I started my career 22 years ago as an engineer, and I figured I enjoyed working more with customers. So over a period of time, drifted more from the code to the customer. I've worked with large service providers like Capgemini, worked at VMware, Hitachi in various roles, development solution. Prior to Cohesity, I started a company in the area of Kubernetes back in the day, and that was really the funnest ride of my life. Taking a very nascent idea and building a product and finding product market fit. And that's what I really enjoyed, finding where customers derive value out of product, iterating the product, so doing pre-sales, post-sales, and success over there. And then came to Cohesity, and in the first 4 years, worked on the pre-sale side, leading solution architects, winning top Fortune 10 accounts, right, with technically complex POCs. And then in the last 1 year, took on the role for customer success, ensuring they continue to grow and we retain those businesses. So that's like a brief history of time.
Excellent. So in preparing for this interview, I did some research on Cohesity, and I saw that the enormous opportunity for AI that ahead. I also saw the announcement earlier this year that Cohesity had acquired the data protection business at Veritas. So for those listeners who might not know about Cohesity, can you tell us a little bit about what the company does and maybe what is the opportunity ahead with the acquisition?
Yeah, so Cohesity is in the cybersecurity business, right? And 10 years ago, we would have called this backup, but it is cybersecurity today. So we back up the digital assets, the data of large corporates, be it Oracle data, SQL data, NAS data, and protect it from bad guys. This data is kept safe in vaults behind sort of immutable file systems. So when bad actors destroy the key production primary data, this becomes the last line of defense to restore the data. We've been founded 10 years ago by Mohit Aaron, who also founded Nutanix, who is a file system specialist in the world. He's the godfather of converged infrastructure. That's the term we use. And we've really hardened security, and we deliver scale, performance, and security to our customers. That's what we do. The acquisition is, we are very excited about it. Obviously, can't discuss more than what has been written in the media.
Sure. Yeah.
Veritas has been around for a long time. They have a large number of Fortune 500 customers. We have new tech and innovation, so we can marry that together and provide a lot more value to our customers, joint customers.
Yeah, well, I think it's a very exciting opportunity as it relates to AI and leveraging the AI capabilities that you've all built and taking that out to that customer base is certainly a great opportunity. Let's talk a little bit more about AI and specifically in the role that you have around customer success. So be interested to hear why is data and AI relevant today in a customer success function and what opportunities are there ahead?
Yeah, just before I jump into the customer success dimension of it, we also have AI products at Cohesity where we help customers derive insight from their own data. So what is a backup data, which can be dark data, we give insights. So you get double value out of the same assets. But our today's conversation is not focused on that. We are not going to focus on how to derive insight from your unstructured data as an enterprise. Our focus today is, as a vendor, I do have data about my customer. And what information I have about the customer, how can I use that digitally to enhance the customer experience, increase the retention, and how can I build AI on top of that? Now, you asked the question, why is this relevant? I think the simple answer to that question is just scale and efficiency. Randy, when is the last time your CFO gave you enormous budget to build customer success teams? Probably never, right? You never have more budgets. You have to do with less. That's where data analytics and AI really helps you. If you have very good data and tools, you have deep insights. So you're not doing a lot of the grunt work all the time. Your customers at risk, you know where the expansion opportunities are. So you're very, very precise in your action. So you can get a lot done with less resources. That's where data and AI become relevant for customer success.
So when I talk with other customer success leaders like yourself, they tell me our customer data resides in so many different systems, right? It's often siloed. It's difficult to combine that data. What are some of the biggest data challenges that you see today when it comes to extracting that information and using it for customer success?
You can see the smile on my face, like all these problems are coming to my head. That's a key point. So number one is, whether do you have the data? The sprawl of the data is problem number two. Now, if you're a legacy company with on-prem products, you probably don't have enough telemetry. But if you're a modern SaaS company, hopefully you have worked with your product teams to build telemetry. Product telemetry is key, because I want to know whether my customer has first of all deployed my product. Are they using my product? What is the consumption? How many licenses are they using? What they're not using? Are they even interacting with the product? Are they logging into it or not? If it is a very dark product, right, with no information, then you're sitting blind. Then you are just down to human conversation and do best as you can, which is a very high touch model. Now, fortunately, at Cohesity, we don't have that problem. We are a modern company. We are a cloud product, on-prem product, but we have a lot of good telemetry. So we can tell who is deploying the product, not deploying, in what phase of evolution they are. So having the data is the key, right? So one source of data becomes product and engineering. Other source of data will obviously be your CRM, where you have sales transactions, where you have support case transactions, and what have you. So having the data is key. Multiple sources is obviously a problem. That's where consolidation of data into a data warehouse is needed. So you bring in data into something like a Snowflake and then do meaningful question and answers on top of that. The second, after having the data, the second biggest problem I see or I've heard of is accuracy of data, right? Anybody you speak to, like, do I trust my data? Is this really true? So you have to go through a phase of vetting it out, doing a number of validation and test and spot checks that I can trust this, I can not trust this. This is my good data, and I can build my business on top of that. So data availability, sprawl, consolidation, accuracy, these are some of the foundational issues. Then you have more advanced issues. How are you querying? What analytics you are building? What kind of dashboards you have? What kind of automation you have? Those are more sophisticated and advanced problems.
Yeah. Okay. So number one is making sure we can identify the data. Number two is getting the data into a common system like a Snowflake or another data warehouse so that we can do that analysis. And then putting the telemetry in place for us to actually derive insights from that. Am I hearing you correctly?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So oftentimes when we speak with companies, we hear a common, not complaint, but frustration maybe, is that like, I know that my data is not perfect. I know that we have some bad data in the system. Now, we all know that AI is dependent on good data. So what advice might you give for those that know that their data is not perfect, but they want to use AI applications as part of their customer success motion? What approaches have you taken specifically to solve the problem?
Yeah. So one thing, AI is an overused term. What we need to realize is AI is useful today in unstructured data where there is a lot of text. Now, fortunately, in customer success, a lot of the data is tabular, columnar, and statistical, like your ACV number, your renewal date, your adoption number. These are numbers. And actually, AI is not too good at analyzing that, because AI, the way it works, it tries to predict the next word, the next token. Numbers are not words. It does not have historical context to predict the next word. If I ask you, is Randy's business at risk? It cannot figure that out because it is statistical analysis. So fortunately, a good 80% of analysis is statistical and number-based, and tools exist for that. So you can, clean that up. AI is going to be very interesting in unstructured data. For example, customers are filing support cases, right? Can you do some sentiment analysis in those words to say, are they referring your competitor over there? Are you sensing a very negative tone? Are they feeling very low, or are they feeling upbeat about you? Those are the signals that AI can really help you with and augment your statistical analysis in addition to that.
Yep.
Now, how have we dealt with all these data and AI problems in customer success? So we have used our telemetry from our CRMs and the product into a data warehouse such as Snowflake. We have asked the relevant questions for our business, and we have built visualization in Tableau. Like, what are our top customers? What products are they using? What are they not using? When is the next renewal? What is at risk? Are they having support issues? Where is the hotspot over there? So you ask a set of questions that's relevant to your business and build visualization on top of it, and then you go from there. Now you can do some automation on top of it. For example, which customer has a renewal in the next 6 months and has a low adoption? Make a list of those accounts, and your CSMs can go and focus on that. Now, instead of spraying and praying, you have a very targeted list to focus on and where to act. This is how you get efficiencies in your system. So we have done the basic telemetry, we have done the Snowflake layer, we have done the Tableau layer. Now, so this is, I would call this like basics. Now, beyond that, things get more interesting. So about 3 or 4 months ago, we started the concept of digital journey mapping. What that means is every customer has a journey with the product, right? And you know what's a good journey looks like for your customer. Can you get digital signals and signatures from your product to see is every customer following that pattern? And if the customer is not following that pattern, you send them a nudge. Maybe you send them a digital nudge, an email nudge, or finally give them a call. So for example, in our business, we are securing customer data assets. We know most customers have Oracle servers, SQL servers, NAS servers, NetApp servers, what have you, cloud assets. And we see that there is a journey. If you are backing up this but not backing up that, something seems odd. Or if you have backed up this but made only one copy of it, this is a very critical crown jewel data, you should have 2 copies of it. We know what a good journey looks like, and we can do a nudge. So I think that is sort of the second frontier, the digital journey. And the last frontier is the AI journey, right? And the AI journey is where I gave you examples of sentiment analysis. So we are in an experimental phase, I would say. We have taken our own Cohesity Gaia product and some other industry AI LLMs to throw like case data at it, to throw emails at it, and see if it can tell me what is at risk versus not, where the sentiment is bad versus good. And we are going to plumb, once we are through our sort of efforts to understand this is reliable data, we'll plumb that signal into our Tableau, into our analysis to say, AI thinks there is a problem here, there is a risk. It will give you a red, yellow, green to go and focus on.
Yep. That's really fascinating. How much of this that you've built is programmed in the sense of it kind of knows what to look for versus what I think the holy grail is, which is like having a conversation with your data and being able to ask ad hoc questions on the fly and have it generate the data and spit out the insight, right? We'd love to understand that evolution in terms of where you are and maybe where you think the opportunities are ahead of it with that.
Yeah, great point. Just yesterday we were having a chat. How can we make data conversational? So with the current set of AI tools, it's not pretty straightforward because a lot of the CS data is structural, whereas AI is conversational. But there are like maybe companies like ThoughtSpot or even Snowflake and Tableau have those tabular data to queryable language capabilities. We are still exploring that. But what we have done with our digital data is we know what good looks like just from experience. And we have tried to model that and we look for that good. And when we don't see the good, we know what the bad looks like. Where the AI is helping us is finding signals from cases, emails, interactions that shows what's problematic. So the digital journey mapping is because we know our product, we know how to build it. There is another layer that is possible over there. If you look at your 100 customers' digital journey, you can actually train your system to tell this is what good looks like. Because again, there are a bunch of APIs and log files. Then it can go and automatically find what bad looks like. But that's very early for us. We have not gotten there. I know there are a few startups who are dabbling with this to see, they look for patterns on what good looks like and they do what bad looks like. But we are not there yet. But we have another method using which, because we know the first 10 set of good APIs to look for and the digital signatures. And once we don't see it, we know it's time to nudge.
Fantastic. Can you give us like a tangible example? Like, I know what I'm hearing you say is like the AI is really helping us identify signals, risk factors, things like that. But maybe an example of where the insights derived from the EI has made an actual business impact, either saved a large customer or increased your NRR from a certain percentage. Like, we'd love to hear just some business impact examples that you've seen.
Absolutely. So all these, like the entire digital initiatives and everything has helped us, first of all, in terms of scale, cover more accounts. Covering more accounts, what it has meant is we have reached the highest retention rate we ever had in a business because now we are able to touch a lot more accounts. The efficiency gains mean that our CS team members are less frustrated and more happy because at one-stop shop, they have all the relevant, insightful data to have a conversation. Earlier, they would go spread around everywhere to look for relevant stuff. So there is efficiency, there is high retention rate, there is more accounts that are covered. And our customer success team got a CSAT rating of 98% out of 100 in the last quarter. So these are some tangible benefits, and our customers have benefited too. Like their adoption numbers have gone up, and I don't want to give out customer data, but which means they are securing more digital assets, which means they are more secure. If they were to be faced with an unfortunate ransomware attack, which is very common these days, then we'll be able to help them recover data at scale, at high speed.
What examples or advice might you give for an organization who's not quite as far as you guys are on the journey, right? They want to start doing some of these things, but they don't quite know where to start. Any advice that you would give to do the blocking and tackling to get to a point to where the success that you've had today?
Yeah, these are all iterations, right? I think first perfect the manual processes, figure out what works for your business, keep the customer at the center, and measure the metrics based on what value you deliver to them. So if I'm securing the customer, I have to measure how secured I have made the customer, build a metric around them for coverage. Once you perfect the manual one, then enter the digital world, right? And that's where you would start, first of all, do I have the data in the telemetry? And then is it clean and accurate? And then how do I analyze? So those are the layers. But if you don't have the manual process figured out, going digital is harder.
Yeah. Fantastic. So we talked about identifying risk factors, product usage, like some of those things. What about identifying cross-sell opportunities or growth opportunities? How has AI been used that you've seen so far to identify maybe the expansion or the growth opportunities?
Yeah. So if we look at a customer, let's say we have a financial customer in a certain segment, be it enterprise segment, we generally know what a financial customer in enterprise segment should look like. They should be backing up asset A, B, C, D, E. So if a customer is backing up or securing only two assets, then we're like, this is not matching the industry pattern. Hey, most customers in your segment are also doing this. Do you have this asset? Don't you want to secure it? That's where the upsell opportunities come, where you can drive more adoption of your product. And then the other opportunities that you can look at is like use cases. When customers secure certain digital assets, some make one copy, some make two copies, some make three copies. But if you're a financial customer, there are regulatory requirements to have at least three copies at certain locations. And it's like most customers in your segment are doing this. Why are you not doing this? Isn't this like your lack of compliance? And can we help you? So that data gives you that insight. So now when you're going into a QBR, you are way more smarter. You're like, hey, customer, you bought this product for this value. You have derived value X, but you can go to Y. Yep. You have to look at my vaulting product. You have to back up your Oracle assets. You have to make your second and third copy at this site. This will be your complete security posture, basically. And they're like, yes, thank you for bringing that to my attention. See, at the end of the day, you're helping your customer counterpart achieve their goals, right? If you don't help them do that, they're not going to work with you. And this kind of insight helps them. Many times when you're having a conversation with the customer, they may not entirely know their real estate and asset, but these digital insights actually help them ask internal questions and get smarter. So that's how we have used this data for upsell and cross-sell opportunities.
Are you using AI at all to help identify the types of personas that maybe get involved that might not be part of the original sale for those cross-sell opportunities? So think about a buying committee of multiple stakeholders that buy the initial purchase, but now as you're looking to expand, maybe there's new personas or new people that you get involved. Is it helping you also understand, like, hey, we have to go talk to this person, right? We haven't spoken to them yet in order for us to go win this deal.
Now, we haven't done that, and for our use cases, we don't need it. But if you're a company with like 100 products, then I can imagine that is needed. We are a company of tens of products, so it's very controllable for us. One set of buyers are of persona A, and we know the second persona. So it's much easier. Here, we don't have a sprawl problem where AI can really help us. So we haven't put that sort of use case to the test with AI. But I can imagine if you're a corporation with 100, 200 products, and they all have different personas, then somebody can take advantage of that over there.
Yeah. I'd love to hear how you got this started, right? So you're one of the more advanced companies using AI for customer success that I've spoken with, but like when you wanted to build that initial business case to get that funding to start building some of those things, what was that conversation like? Who did you have to go to? What were some of the KPIs or metrics that you said that this is going to impact? I'm just trying to think for the audience, how might they go try to get something funded, a Skunks Works project or whatever else to get going?
It's in your annual budget cycle. If you're going to go and ask for more budget to scale your teams, that's an opportunity to say, hey, instead of one additional rec, can I get some experimental budget to play with this, either to buy a product, do a POC, or do something in-house. Now, we are a high-tech company. We have our own AI project. So this was much an easier conversation internally. But if for other brick and mortar businesses or other businesses, because it comes down to scaling and efficiency. With less dollars, you're going to get more out.
Yeah.
And so you carve out a piece of your budget in your next budget cycle to do these experiments. And it's always a trade-off against a rec that you were going to ask,
Yeah.
basically.
So I know that you said you use your product for a lot of this. Is most of the work that you've done proprietary? You built it yourself with your data warehouse, or is there any off-the-shelf packages that you've used to help sort of do this?
No, off the shelf. So, see, our AI also uses industry LLMs. So,
Mm-hmm.
I could literally do this with OpenAI or other tools as well. And a lot of the other standard things like snowflakes of the world, the tableaus of the world, which solves actually 80% of the CS problems, are already out there. So, no, I wouldn't say this is proprietary. We used our products, but we also in parallel tested some other industry products, and this can be solved with them as well.
Fantastic. Let's transition a little bit to a lightning round, which is more some of your personal questions about yourself. Now that you've moved into customer success, which sounds like you're really passionate about right now, what's some of the favorite things about being the head of customer success at a company like Cohesity?
I've, I think the funnest part of it is solving customer problems. The customer is the heart of any business, right? See, even when we started a company 10 years ago, I was like, you can imagine, you can have a vision, you can build a product, but the rubber meets the road when the customer extracts value. That is the fun, right? So when you're sitting in front of a customer, you're doing a POC, you're selling or seeing the customer derive value. That is the joyous part for me. Because for most like for-profit business, customer is the heart of the business, right? So that's what I enjoy, solving their problems, delivering value, scaling, and figuring out what works, what doesn't work. Because you may not have the perfect product or you may not have all the features, like
Yep.
figuring out where the friction points are, bringing back those feedback and achieving a product market fit and tuning the product, right? So I think those are the things I truly enjoy, solving problems at scale for customer digitally using the products.
Yeah. What about the flip side of that question? What's your least favorite part about leading success at Cohesity?
I can't think of one. All the good stuff may come with some small pain, but that's kind of acceptable. I think the analogy I'll give is I have a second kid who is 5 weeks old, and you know how sleep cycles and everything is impacted. But
Yeah.
those moments in the day are like truly joyful for which you wait for and you live for. So I think it's a part and parcel. I don't think like there is a part of it that I hate. The whole package works for me.
Yeah. Let's question a little bit of a different way. What's the hardest part of your job?
I think the hardest part of the job is getting alignment and support of other people to get things done. And I think be it sales, engineering, product, or support, right? Because you are, if I may say, we use the word quarterback. You're quarterbacking an account to an outcome, but you alone cannot do everything. So your ability to convince other people and collaborate is the key. And
Yep.
that is the heart of customer success, your skills in doing that.
Yep. Both.
If you master that, you'll be very successful.
Yeah, both internally as well as externally, right? Your internal partners and your
Exactly.
external partners. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice that maybe you've received, from recent past or even way back that has stayed
Yeah.
with you that maybe you could share with the audience?
Yeah, there are so many, but as I first started working a lot with customers back 10, 15 years ago, and that's the time when we were starting my startup, I had an advisor because I was starting the company for the first time, and that was a seasoned entrepreneur. I said, like, what are the top three things I should think about to be successful and not have pitfalls in my startup? And he said, here are the top three things. He said, number one, focus on your customer. Okay. Number two, focus on your customer. Number three, focus on your customer. That is like a simple lesson to remember because we get caught up in so many other details. What is the industry trend? What is my competitor doing? And just ruthless, brutally focus on the customer, their problem, focus on delivering enormous value, and good things will automatically happen to you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice no matter what role you're in. Yeah, absolutely. What about if someone who's maybe a CSM starting their career, they want to get to where you are today, they want to lead a customer success organization in the future? What advice might you give them to help get them there?
Well, apart from some we touched upon, like focus on the customer and such, the one thing I would say is your domain knowledge, to loosely use that word, or technical knowledge. Quite often I see like junior CSMs just managing sentiment or account and being the messenger. You should be able to hold a intelligent conversation with your customer partner about your business, the business value, the technical value, so that you earn their respect. I think it is very important to know your business and not just be a messenger. The other thing I think is, because you're not going to be successful without getting the support of other people, your skills in collaborative alignment with others.
Hmm.
You can't like go to your support and engineering partner and say, hey, help me do this. They're like, I don't have time to do this. But the conversation has to be, hey, I have a customer who spent $5 million with us. They expect certain things. Now, to retain and grow this customer, they have this pain. Will you please help me solve? And I don't know of one person who will say no to that. They are going to say yes to that.
Yep.
Because if you're an engineer, you have stock options in the company, you have other KPIs that you can relate and align to when you message like that. At the center of my conversation is the customer, what we owe to them, what they spent with us, right? And so please help me achieve this value. And a human tendency is to help, but the way you structure and frame it is very important. So I think those are some of the things, and we got to be like thankful and grateful to all our partners who help us. But this is how you get everybody together to deliver an outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic advice. Where do you turn? So let's say you've got a big meaty challenge, something that maybe you haven't tackled before, or you're just trying to figure it out. Where do you turn to for advice? Do you go to peers that you know? Do you go to the industry analyst firms and look at the research? We'd love to understand what sources you go to try to solve a big problem.
I tend to go to practitioners, people who have done it or are doing it, because I'm very experiential in my approach. I learn less from books. I do more from doing with my hand. So I tend to go to industry practitioners who are dealing with those problems, all are looking at those kind of problems, and do brainstorming sessions. Hey, these are the kind of problems. How are you approaching? How am I approaching? What are your best practices that you have seen? And so this can be within the company, leaders, juniors, and it's very important to get a diverse view. So if you just go and speak to customer success team, you'll get a very singular view of that. You have to speak to sales, support, engineering to get a very, very holistic view. And whatever you curate, do definitely bounce it off a customer, because that's the final litmus test. If
Yep.
they cannot make sense of what you're doing, then it's pointless. Just iterate and pivot very quickly.
Yeah. It goes back to your advice. Focus on the customer, right? Because they're going to help us understand priority, right? They're going to help us maybe solve the problem, so on and
Yeah.
so forth. So,
The
excellent.
only one thing about that is, if you are at the bleeding edge of innovation, they may not get it. But that's when you need to know what question to ask and what not to ask. This reminds me of a great old story about the Sony Walkman, right? When Akio Morita built the Walkman, nobody ever got it. Like, why would I ever buy it? So he never tried convincing. The only thing he did was he gave a bunch of college kids the Walkman and asked them to walk around the park. And they did that for a month and everybody got it. Oh, this is my personal music. I just got it. So you have to know what questions to ask, when to ask, and who to ask. If with every innovation you keep asking the customer, do you want, they're going to say no. So you got to be careful.
Yeah, it reminds me of the old Henry Ford story, right? If they asked somebody back then what they wanted, they would have told you they wanted a faster horse, right? They didn't know what a car was. But you
Yeah,
focus on the problem, what would that enable you to do? And that's going to help you get to your
yeah.
answer. I want to say thank you very much for spending the time. I think it was a really insightful conversation. I think our audiences are going to take away quite a bit from it.
Thank you for having me, Randy. Very good chat. Good luck.
All right, have a good one.